So you described when you played The Last of Us 2 when the perspective switched, and you said you nearly fell off your chair. And that's a big emotional statement to make, you know what I mean? And how did that hit you?
I was blown away. I mean, I describe it in the article, so I won't go into too much detail, but
Yeah.
the perspective shift in this case isn't just from one character to another who happens to be a different age and gender. You switch from your hero to your villain, and who you think is your villain for the entire game. For the last 20 hours you've been playing this game, you've been trying to you've thought of this person as evil incarnate, and now suddenly you are them. So I think that was fascinating. Some really great works of literature have done this, but I've never seen it in a video game where not only are you this person, but you are forced now all of a sudden to be on the other side of the narrative. And just that is powerful, because you start seeing things in a completely different perspective. Everything you thought you knew, you realize you didn't know, or you
Right.
weren't looking at in the way this other character was looking at it. So I think it just illustrates something about the power of this medium going forward, what it can do. What it can do in the best cases is really force us to see the world in different ways. That was kind of the main point I was trying to make.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I'm also thinking about as you say that reminds me also of the game Battlefront 2 for Star Wars, where you play as the character Ida Verso, who fights for the Empire. And then throughout this, she has an experience and she switches to fight for the rebellion. And people she was initially attacking, now she's fighting for the other side. And you have to now your perspective is completely changed.
Yeah.
And these beaten down rebels, you're now trying to support them. And that perspective, again, it's a complete, it's a worldview shift.
Yeah. It is, and that's very analogous to this. At the same time, and again, I won't give away the ending, but I will tell you that, whew, oh mama,
Yeah.
you get to the ending of this game, yeah, just play it.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so let's kind of tie this all together here. We did this a little bit about, but we got this empathetic response as you're describing in this notion of procedural rhetoric by changing the narrative perspective. And in doing that, my question is this creating a new rhetoric? Is this a new subgenre of procedural rhetoric by this perspective switch? Could we classify it eventually? Will game designers someday look in the future, look back on this time and say, this will be a Last of Us 2 style perspective switch? You know what I mean? Will we thinking this almost as a subgenre of a subgenre?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised. I also thought about, the way that this type of approach could be used in many different ways. Imagine a teacher in training, kind of going through an experience as kids of all different backgrounds. As part of their training, they see the world through someone from a different kind of neighborhood, a different background, different race, different gender, and how that might add empathy. Same with police officers, for example, people in military training, how just by requiring them to experience life and through someone else's eyes and someone else's shoes, what that could do for positivity of the world. I think it has a lot of potential.
And that's a powerful mechanic, right? That's a powerful mechanic that people can turn to as perspective switching.
Yeah.
So I encourage students, as they're thinking about putting their projects together, consider perspective switching as a potential, because it knocked Dave off his chair, and that's an endorsement into itself. Dave, thanks so much for writing this wonderful article. It gave us a lot to think about, and thank you so much for all of your work and for sharing your ideas with us. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dave.